The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Ohio State Buckeyes, and more. Here is your latest recruiting news.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Purdue, Arkansas. Many programs are still hitting it on the recruiting trail, despite the portal being wide open. Yes, I've got more portal news than anything if you want to check out the other podcasts here on the Portal Podcast. But we do have a lot of recruiting stuff to get over, and it starts with two wide receivers, one for the Irish and one for the Buckeyes. Bubba Frazier out of Benedictine Military down in Savannah, Georgia, has committed to Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He is a speedster. There is no doubt about it. He's a 4.4 guy, legit. He's one of the players that really stood out at some of the different places that he's competed, Under Armour, etc. And he is a player that had options to go all over the place. He fell in love with Notre Dame, and it's not often that kids from Southeast Georgia even visit the Irish, but props to Notre Dame. They're getting a guy that can be a gadget player, a kick returner, a guy that can play slot, and maybe, just maybe, he could move outside in time. 5'9", 5'10", 190 pounds. Bubba Frazier can roll. I mean, he is absolutely electric. He's running away from players in Georgia. And as I've said many times, my favorite state in the country to scout is the state of Georgia, because it's so well coached and it is so competitive across the state. Doesn't matter if it's in a big town, small town, or anywhere in between. Georgia's got great high school football. Bubba's one of those guys that just stands out on film too. It's just fun. If you want to see a guy that is electric, go check out his huddle film. Not sure where he's going to play right off the bat for Notre Dame, but that's probably a good situation. He could probably even play running back if you wanted him to. But good pickup for the Irish, and they add some speed to a much-needed position. Receiver is one of their biggest needs in the 26 class. Now, here's the other receiver news. Ohio State, they were always considered the crown jewel over the last 5 years, let's say, at the wide receiver position. They've done a great job of developing some guys, and they've taken some 5 stars, obviously Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and just they've had a great run. But that doesn't mean that Ryan Day and his staff don't look at the film and do their own judgments. I love this. Ohio State has brought in a kid that plays at one of the best programs in the country in South Lake Carroll. It's on the northwest side of Dallas. They've had quarterbacks galore go to the NFL, etc. But Brock Boyd's a guy that I didn't even know who he was. Watched the film, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Tremendous route runner. Not surprised. Again, South Lake Carroll's got a football facility that would rival most pro teams, and I mean that literally. They held the Elite 11 there about 4 years ago, and I was there to watch several of the players that are big-time guys, and I couldn't believe just how much their facilities stood out. But that also speaks to the money they spend on coaching, the staff, training, everything they do at South Lake Carroll. And Brock Boyd is one of those guys that fits that profile to a T. His comebacks, his curls, his ability to sell a deep route, then make a move underneath. Doesn't matter if it's an in route, out. Doesn't matter if it's stop and go. He is one of the best route runners in the 26 class. Is he a pure burner? No. But he's fast enough. And with his ability to get in and out of breaks with tremendous technique, Brock Boyd is a guy that eventually will play at Ohio State. I don't think he's an impact guy. But again, I love the fact that they brought in a guy that they evaluated, that they want. Now, where exactly will he play in Ohio State's offense? Is it slot? Is it out to the wide side of the field? It's got to be one of the two. He's not strong enough. He's a $165, $170. He's not going to play boundary. But I could see him playing either. I'll be curious to see what they come up with for the best plan for him early on and how he moves forward with the Ohio State Buckeyes. But again, I really like him as a player. You got to have route runners, man. Third downs, this is the guy that's going to get single coverage at Ohio State, because he won't be the most talented guy, but how many guys are going to be able to hold on to him, probably literally, because he's such a good route runner, and not give him separation? Got to have guys like this, and he'll get stronger, he'll get bigger, he'll get faster inside of Ohio State's weight program. They do a tremendous job there. It's one of the best in the country. So Brock Boyd is going from the state of Texas all the way up to Ohio to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Congrats to him and everybody at Ohio State. Again, I love it when you do your own evaluations. That's a personal pet peeve of mine. Tony Williams and Amirian Thomas both go to Illinois. They're both from the state of Florida. Tony Williams is from Raines High School in Jacksonville. Amirian Thomas is from Cape Coral, but he was at Booker T. Washington. I'm not sure which high school he's going to be at this next fall. He's a corner. Tony Williams, inside linebacker, both of them very, very skilled. Illinois is killing it in the state of Florida. They're just going off down there. It's amazing when you get a really good head coach, how recruiting in areas that you don't normally do very well in become the norm. Again, the Fighting Illini are getting it done in the state of Florida. Hats off to them. Joshua Pittman, Kings Fork and Suffolk, Virginia. Linebacker commits to the Virginia Tech Hokies. Virginia Tech, I haven't seen their name that much. We need to see them pick it up on the recruiting trail. Maybe this is the beginning of that. Jabari Thornton out of Waco, Texas, La Vega High School, Oklahoma State Cowboys. I know somebody up there in the state of Colorado who's a big Oklahoma State fan. Walked on Oklahoma State, has a crazy, crazy fan, but that's another story. This is a kid that can run. I can guarantee it. I haven't even watched his film yet, but Oklahoma State, they always find the diamonds in the rough at wide receiver. He's a 3-star kid. He's not ranked by 24/7 and some of the other services. That's okay. Oklahoma State's made a living off guys like this, and I love Gundy's ability to evaluate. Not concerned at all about them. The surprise for me, though, is still another kid in the state of Texas, Reese Wise, quarterback, Westlake High School. Again, it's much like some of the other tremendous, there's so many in Texas, South Lake Carroll and some of the other tremendous programs in the state, North Shore, DeSoto, etc. Really good at producing players at all the positions because they're so well coached. Westlake is one of the best programs for the last 40 years in that state. This kid's going to Ole Miss. I didn't see that coming. Maybe Ole Miss wants to take 2 quarterbacks. Maybe they only want to take 1. I don't know. But he's a 3-star kid. What does that mean for Landon Duckworth? Is he going to Ole Miss? I don't know. But this is a really unique scenario. Possibly opens the door for Florida State with Landon Duckworth. Maybe Georgia with Landon Duckworth. Maybe somebody I don't even know. But Landon Duckworth is a super, super quarterback out of Jackson, Alabama, who was leaning to Ole Miss. I mean, I spoke to him a couple weeks ago. That's really interesting that Kiffin went ahead and took Reese Wise. I don't know if they're going to take 2, but that's a really good football player. Carnell Jackson, defensive lineman out of Auburn, Alabama, is going to Arkansas. 6'3", 320 pounds. That's a big boy. I'll be curious to see how that works out. They don't normally get a lot of kids from Alabama. Are they making a move in this state? Auburn High School is one of the best programs in the South, and I've seen him play, but I didn't know that Arkansas was making a move in this state, so we'll see how that goes. Then Purdue gets an offensive lineman, a program that I grew up kind of close to, New Palestine, Indiana, interior offensive lineman Brock Brownfield, and finalize everything here. Again, just to note, Brock Boyd, I think, is the coolest situation, the Ohio State commitment, wide receiver out of South Lake Carroll, and Bubba Frazier goes to Notre Dame, wide receiver out of Benedictine Military down in Savannah, Georgia. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Yes, we've got a ton of Portal news. We've got a ton of recruiting news. It is all mixed together. The next month and a half will be madness, and we're going to be all the way through the end of May. That is the May evaluation period. It starts right now for coaches to go on the road. You're going to see players all over the country getting offers, kids setting up visits. There's going to be a lot of news, so make sure you like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And please, if you are listening, give us a 5-star review on Apple and anywhere else that you can. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.